Alright, back to the 2005 Volvo XC90 for part 2, windshield wipers. So, when the customer bought this car, like more than a year ago, the wipers never worked. And as you can see here, there's some frustration, some DIY wiring bypass attempts. Remember, these wires from the windshield wiper motor were stretched to the fuse box and stuffed into the windshield wiper relay, which I removed because the wiper motor just occasionally starts going, it does a few cycles and stops. So then what else did he try? The central electronics module, which is like the BCM on these Volvos, lives right here under the cowl, and they are known for water intrusion problems. So I guess he got one at a junkyard and then sent both to a place in Canada called Z-Modex, that's with an X, and they apparently checked the old one. They said it had a burnt wiper circuit, which I'm not sure exactly what that means. And then the replacement one, they put the program in the immobilizer, so that's the one that's in the car right now. It's not the original CEM. And you see the wires going down to the module, and then it's also the fuse box, so you can get to it from the driver's feet there. So these wires, there's a wire here, there's a wire here. These were twisted together, and I kind of did a visual inspection and figured out, well, one of his attempts, he just cut the wire and bypassed it to the wiper motor instead of it going through the original harness. You can see this is the little sense wire, I guess. He did the same for the power, the low and the high speed wires. Obviously that didn't work, but it creates a mess, so I have to restore this before even starting the diagnosis. Okay, now let's take a look at the trouble codes. What do these wipers need to be happy? And then restore this wiring, because all the bypass stuff is kind of annoying. It's a mess. We got bare wires hanging out. They're not soldered, which I guess is a good thing because they're easier to untwist and put back together. Look at the trouble codes in a wiring diagram. See what we're dealing with here. So end of the day, the customer just wants to be able to turn on his wipers. Even if it's low speed, he said, I told him, like, if it needs a module or another module, you could just put in a toggle switch, man. If that's the only problem, he's like, yeah, that's the last resort, but one way or another, he wants his wipers to work to drive it back to North Carolina. So let's do some research and diagnose this problem. By the way, I have just the parking lights on because the headlights come on their own. So turn those off, and we need a battery maintainer. These things suck a lot of current. So 20 amps with the key on, and that will deplete the battery very quickly. But for diagnostics, I could have the key on all day right here with the TOPDON Tornado hooked up. So that's very important. Now, central electric module, we have these codes: windshield wiper signal too low, relay windshield wiper signal too low. That's because I took the relay out. So these two codes right here, windshield wiper signal too low. That's kind of sounds generic. 8F2D, we can look that up. But first I want to go in here and just see, he already replaced the stock. That didn't work. So I want to see inputs and outputs. That's step one, in the diagnosis. Scan for codes, look at scan data, and get as much information as possible from the car, from the computers. We can instantly tell if the stock is fine, if you can see all the positions, and then what the module is commanding the wiper motor to do through those two relays. That really shortcuts a lot of manual, circuit testing. If you don't have a scanner and you start replacing parts, you are gonna get into trouble. Like you see in this car, a box full of modules. Then also, customer said the the upper electronics module doesn't talk, the sunroof doesn't work, and he expected me to diagnose all this on one charge. I'm like, no, man, that's not how it works. We did the fuel pump, we got the car running for now. Your tank is still, has some sediment in it, but I gave him a 2-month warranty because when he bought the car, he drove it for 2 months before the fuel pump clogged up. And then he replaced it, 3 or 4 times. Nothing, it didn't help. I don't know why. But brand new fuel pumps in it, so I'm confident it'll go at least 2 months. But I told him I don't have the equipment to take off your gas tank or clean it. That's on you. But if you want your car to be reliable, you need to have a clean gas tank. So, that was for that part. But all this other communication code, sunroof, wipers, that's extra. So he did pay me half the amount for the fuel pump diagnostics and repairs. So I'm like, okay, as long as I'm not in the hole here, we'll continue with the other stuff. So wipers is next on the priority list. Alright, so here is the wiring diagram for the wiper circuit. We have the steering wheel module, which has the stock, and that talks to the central electronic module. Then we have upper electronic module, which is actually the mirror, integral to the rear view mirror, and that has a rain sensor attached to it, and that rain sensor also has a wire going to the CEM. Now here's our wiper motor, here's our washer motor. See, the wiper motor, the yellow and the blue come from, those are the power feeds from the windshield wiper high-low speed relay in the fuse box, and that is, the power to that is fed by this intermittent wiper relay, which is also in the fuse box. And these relays are controlled by, you see the control wire goes to the CEM, 2 control wires, gray and yellow. So those are the outputs from the CEM to energize the wipers. Now there's a third wire from the wiper motor. Blue and white, that is the park sense. And it comes here, C31 to the CEM. So the CEM needs to know when the wipers are parked, and then we can energize the relays and activate the wipers. Okay? So now, looking up the trouble code description, this 8F2D, the CEM checks the windshield wipers. The DTC stored if the CEM detects the windshield wipers are deployed somewhere in the windshield for longer than 5 seconds, and the steering wheel module indicates the windshield wipers should not be activated. The DTCs can be diagnosed when the ignition is switched on. It says damaged windshield wipers or short circuit to ground in the power supply cable. Okay, this is interesting. And if we go back, an actual diagnostic procedure, it says check the cable on C31, that's the Park Sense cable, for short to ground. And also it says check the rain sensor circuit for short to ground. So somehow those two are related. That's very good information to have. There's D11 and C31 at the CEM. Now what are those signals supposed to be? High or low? Let me pull that up. Volvo actually gives you a good chart of the pinouts in the CEM. Oh, here we go. In the trouble code description, they actually say signal specification, pinout values and diagnostic parameters. So let's open that in a new tab. So connecting a breakout box, reading off parameters, signal specification CEM. That's what I want. What are the actual voltages on these connectors? So it has A, B, C, D, 4 big bulk connectors on there. And U equals DC voltage in volts. U bat equals battery voltage, U low equals 0 volts. So we are on connector C right here. C31 input signal windshield wipers. U equals 10.9 volts or U low as long as the wiper arm is not in the start position. When the wiper arm is in the start position, the voltage increases to U equals 10.9 volts. Not active, U equals 10.9 volts. Okay, so we should have high voltage on there when the wipers are in park, or when that when this right here, see, it's grounding it out, so it's low until the wipers reach the park position, and then boom, this switches to open circuit, and this wire should go high. So that's the first thing I want to check based on these codes on the symptoms, and then look at scan data at the inputs just to see if the steering wheel module in the stock is operational. Alright, here's some live data. So let's play around with the stock. You can hear the wipers are, for some reason, intermittently being activated just all on their own by this module, even though none of the switches are active. So I'm going to switch it to, there we go, intermittent switch activated, 2, low speed activated, 3, high speed activated, and it says wiper high speed relay is on. If I pull on the washer, there it says front washer switch activated. I don't want to soak the windshield just yet. So the stock seems to work fine. The CEM sees the command, but obviously the wipers are not doing the right thing because they're not seeing the park position, and there is no data PID that says, you know, wiper position or wiper whatever. Oh, let's see, there's single sweep. So single sweep is activated. Yep, that works. So we need to go to the CEM, do some voltage checks. Alright, so I got this connector off the CEM. We're interested in this blue and white wire. So you can see what the owner did. I don't know why. I think he replaced this whole connector and just twisted and electrical taped all these wires. I'm not going to touch that. I'm just interested in the wipers. So this is the original wire that, you know, went through here, and then it was snipped off here, and he just bypassed it with this thing, which just ties into the wiper motor. So we're going to use this to our advantage. Let me wrap this up first so it doesn't touch anything metal, and then I want to measure the voltage on this wire coming out of the CEM. If it's open circuit, it should be 10.9 volts, and if it's grounded by the wiper motor, it should be 0. Okay? Let me get some electrical tape. We'll temporarily set this up and do some voltage measurements. Alright, so first I want to make sure the wiper motor has a spot on there where the park circuit works on the wiper motor itself. So a test light connected from battery positive to this white and blue wire that's already exposed, very convenient. Now I want to energize the wiper motor manually, and we can do that but just by touching this to battery positive. Okay? So obviously I disconnected the arm so I don't get my hands cut off. So right there, the wipers are in park. Right there, the wipers are not in park, and it's grounding out the test light. That's exactly how the system is supposed to work, so there's nothing wrong with the wiper motor. Okay, now let me get a test or a voltmeter on this wire coming from the CEM. Alright, CEM is plugged back in. We're measuring voltage on this wire right here we expect to see 10.9 volts by service information if the wire's open circuit. I only see 52 millivolts. That's a problem for sure. Now, if I wiggle this wire, the reading changes. It's almost like it's an open circuit. You mess with the connector, stress the pins a little bit. Wait, what changed there? 1.3 volts? That's not, I mean, what is 1.3 volts? Something's messed up. .1 volts. There's some voltage on there. But if I let it go, it's open. It looks like it's open circuit right now. Huh. So we can take a look at the pins. If the pin is fine, it's going to be a problem with this junkyard CEM. Now, we do have another CEM, another junkyard unit here. Obviously this won't start the car as the mobilizer is not programmed, but we can plug in this connector and see if the voltage on the wiper circuit's any different. Just to see if it's a CEM problem. This is fairly easy to install, so we could try that. So before replacing the CEM or trying that junkyard one, I want to get a test light again from battery positive to that wire. So you can see we have 13.5 volts. Test light's not lighting. That means the wire right now is not shorted to ground. And if I do that little wiggle check, there's no short circuit to ground. For some reason we're getting low voltage from that sense circuit coming out of the CEM. It's a pull down design by the motor. It's very key to know here, and it's just not working right. So the problem has to be either pin fitment or the module itself, and these are known for water intrusions. So even if you get 3 from a junkyard, they could all be bad. Okay, so I located and probed the wire, pin D11, that goes to our rain sensor. It's mounted by the mirror. It's this 4-pin connector right here. And the voltage on that wire is 1.35 volts. So are these two sense wires fed by the same voltage regulator? Perhaps. What happens if we unplug the rain sensor? We go to 3.2 volts. Okay, and I'm going to plug in a test light from battery positive now to here to raise up the voltage. You see that? What the heck? That's interesting. About 3 volts on that circuit, and it was blinking. Did anything change at our wiper park circuit? Now remember, this connection was funky, but if I pull on it, I expect to see 3 volts here now. Or 2.8. Okay. Very interesting. I am tempted to de-pin or cut that wire that goes to the rain sensor and see if we restore proper sense voltage, like 10.9 volts, on both circuits here. There has to be a short to ground, or a partial short to ground. You know, 2.89, that doesn't make any sense. When we plug in the rain sensor, it goes to 1.3. Now I can try to go from my test light to this white wire, raise the voltage up from here, see if it's any different. Like maybe there's an intermediate connector, and with all this water intrusion, there's some green crusties bridging something to something else. At least check circuit integrity from the rain sensor down to the CEM. Alright, so with the rain sensor unplugged, we have 2.8 volts, and from battery positive through a little test light, I'm going to try to lift that voltage up on the white wire. Let's see what happens to our meter. 3.2, 2.8. Aha! So that white wire is not the same here versus at the CEM. Okay? So there's definitely a problem between the rain sensor and the CEM. Could that be pulling up or down the park sense circuit? Absolutely. The voltage you can see on both circuits. Now, on that connector, the connection or the pin might be faulty, but if we tweak it, we see the same voltage. So I'm going to see if there's any intermediate connectors between here and the CEM. I'm hoping to find some green crusties and fix this car, no parts required on this wiper problem. Alright, here we go. Here's our rain sensor. This is the whole contraption, upper electric assembly with the mirror. And the sensor harness goes through a 4-pin connector right here. And then back through the main roof harness here, 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 and down this pillar, down to a connector down here. Let's look at the OE diagram and see which connector we're going after. So for the rain sensor, there's a separate OE diagram. We need OE to see the actual pins and connectors. There's it's called RSM, rain sensing module. Here's the white wire that we're worried about going to the CEM. It passes through 2 intermediate connectors, 5416 pin number 4 and 5413 pin number 14. So in connector views, first one, it looks like a 5-pin connector located right here in the roof harness. That's the one I just unplugged, and didn't see any green crusties on there or anything. And here are the pinouts. Very nice of Volvo to provide this. So pin number 4 is the white wire, roof harness, rain sensor harness, RSM. Okay, next connector, 5413, passenger compartment harness to roof harness. And we're looking for pin number 14. So it actually tells you which pin. D11, yep, that's in the CEM, that's the wire we have back probed. And the other side it goes to 54/16 pin 4 on the roof harness. So very cool. This is looks like a 22-pin connector. Right, is it close to the door jamb or in the pillar? It's hard to say by this, but we have to look for green crusties here or here. I didn't see any here. Let's check the voltage one more time and see if anything changed. Well, something changed. At the CEM, I'm still back probed there with my meter, 11.1 volts. Huh. Almost battery voltage, just close to that 10.9. If I unplug the rain sensor, we go to 12.8, plug it in, 11.1. So you unplug this guy. See, that white wire is right next to a brown wire. And green crusties can be kind of sneaky pulling circuits down. I haven't gone down here yet. We're just messing with this harness up here. Take a quick look at those pins. I don't see anything crusty there. What about on this side? water leaks, they kind of start going down both pillars here. I don't know if the headliner was replaced. This car is very questionable. But something changed, and now we have high voltage, proper voltage, on that circuit. And let's see, I assume the voltage on our park circuit returned, if we can get it, you know, if we tweak that connector to establish contact again, at 11.1. So if I can fix this, and for 11.1, I think the wipers should start working again. Pretty crazy. Guys, you're not going to believe this. I was going to put this thing back together. I don't know where the short is. And I'm like, well, how does this wire harness go? It was routed like this. And I'm like, you know what? This kind of looks suspicious. It's really flat. Like the whole console was screwed on and pinched against the wire. Guess what happens to our voltage when I touch this spot on the wire? Let's see. There we go, 1.5 volts. Dude, this little harness was pinched, pulling that voltage down. Oh my gosh. There wasn't water intrusion after all. Let me unwrap this. We'll take a picture for the customer. Oh my, this is insanity. So we can just leave that rain sensor unplugged, or just reroute this harness, you know, fix it up. This sucker is just smashed right here. It's like a pancake. Look at that little thin spot. Wah, wah, wah. Wow.